All right, let's dive right in today. We're talking Visual Basic developers and how to get one on your team. If you've ever thought, I need a custom app for this, but didn't know where to turn, this is for you.
Definitely. Lots of folks out there need that custom Excel spreadsheet or database, and a VB developer is often the answer.
And it's not always easy figuring out where to even start with hiring developers.
Right. It's a whole world of its own.
That's why we love theperfectdeveloper.com. Seriously, they've made it so much easier to find the right fit. In fact, they have this thing called the 5 questions
Oh, yeah, that's good.
that helps you really narrow down what you need in a VB developer. If you're listening, maybe pause for a second, try it out. It's on theperfectdeveloper.com, and it'll help you follow along with what we're about to talk about.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get down to it. What exactly I Visual Basic, and what do these developers actually do?
Yeah, that's a good place to start because unless you're a programmer yourself,
You might not know all the ins and outs. Well, think of VB, or Visual Basic, as a way to tell a computer what to do. Specifically, it's great for building applications that work on Windows, those programs you use every day.
like that super complex spreadsheet I rely on to make sure I can afford my morning coffee.
Exactly. Or maybe a custom database for your customer contacts, or even those macros that automate those annoying little tasks.
Ah, automation, my favorite.
Right. So VB developers, they write the code, test it, and make sure those applications actually work. They often make those user-friendly interfaces too, so you don't need to be a tech whiz to use them.
So they're not building like the next big smartphone game,
No,
right?
not usually. They're focused on those desktop applications that businesses rely on day in and day out.
And they're really good at working with all those other Microsoft technologies too.
Yeah, things like databases, reports, even pulling data from different places and making it all play nicely together.
So if you're a business that's pretty much living in the Microsoft world,
A VB developer can really help you streamline everything.
makes sense. So we've got a handle on what they do, but what kind of projects are they best suited for? Like, give me some real world examples.
Okay, imagine you're running a small business and you need to track your inventory. You could hire a VB developer to create a custom application that does exactly what you need.
Okay, so like way more powerful than just an off-the-shelf spreadsheet.
Exactly. Or let's say you work in finance and you're spending hours every month putting together these complex reports.
Ugh, I can relate to that.
A VB developer could build you an Excel macro that automates that whole process, saving you tons of time.
And freeing you up to do more interesting things, hopefully.
Right. Or maybe your sales team needs a way to track all their customer interactions, like a CRM system.
I was just going to say that.
A VB developer could create a database-driven application that's tailored to your specific sales process.
Okay, so it's all about building those customized solutions that fit perfectly into how your business already operates.
Precisely. It might not be the flashiest type of development, but it's
Mhm.
essential for so many businesses.
And honestly, finding developers who are experts in VB, it's not always a walk in the park.
It's a niche skill set for sure.
That's why I always point people to theperfectdeveloper.com. They just get it, you know? They specialize in finding the right tech people for your needs, VB developers included.
Saves you so much time and hassle.
Okay, so we've got what they do
Yeah.
and the kinds of projects they're good for. Now, the $1 million question, or maybe like the 60,000-pound question,
Depending on experience, right?
exactly. What's the salary situation for a VB developer? What should you budget for?
Well, like any job, it depends on experience and location. But let's give you some ballpark figures for the UK. Entry level, you might be looking at somewhere between 36 and 48,000 pounds per year.
Okay, and for someone with a bit more experience.
Mid-level, with a few years under their belt, you're probably looking at 48 to 68,000.
And a senior level VB developer.
Someone who's really at the top of their game, you could be looking at 68 to 96,000.
Wow, that's quite a range.
And of course, in places like London or other big tech hubs, those salaries can be even higher.
That makes sense. Okay, but what if you don't need a full-time developer? What if you just have a one-time project or need someone part-time?
Well, then you might consider going the freelance or contract route.
And how does that work in terms of cost?
Freelance VB developers usually charge by the hour. You could expect to pay anywhere from, say, 24 to 64 pounds per hour.
So it really depends on their experience and what you need them to do.
Exactly. It's a flexible way to get the help you need without the commitment of a full-time hire.
But with all these options, it can be tough to know where to even begin.
That's where a service like theperfectdeveloper.com can really be invaluable. They help you navigate the world of VB developers, whether you're looking for full-time, part-time, or freelance. they've got you covered.
They really do make it so much easier. So we've talked about what VB developers can do and what that might cost you. But how do you know you're getting someone who actually knows their stuff? It's not like you can just glance at a resume and be like, yep, they're a coding rock star.
Right. You need to dig a little deeper than that. You don't want to waste time and money on someone who can't deliver.
Absolutely. So how do you actually test their skills? What are some practical tips?
Well, the first thing I always tell people is to ask for a portfolio.
Oh, like what artists have.
Exactly. It gives you a chance to see real-world examples of their work, what they've actually built.
And you can see if they've worked on projects that are similar to what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have they used the same technologies? Have they faced challenges that are relevant to your project? The closer the match, the better.
Makes sense. And what should you be looking for when you're checking out their portfolio?
Well, don't just skim the surface. Ask them about the challenges they encountered, how they went about solving problems, what the outcomes were. You'll get a much better sense of their experience that way.
So it's not just about seeing the finished product, but understanding how they got there.
Exactly. You want to see their thought process. How do they approach things?
Okay, so portfolio review is a good first step. But what about actually testing their technical knowledge?
Well, that's where the technical interview comes in.
Okay, and what kind of questions should you be asking?
It really depends on what you need them to do. Tailor your questions to the specific skills and technologies that are important for your project.
So if database management is crucial,
Then ask about their experience with SQL queries, how they approach database design, that sort of thing.
and don't be afraid to get really technical with the questions.
Right. Ask them to walk you through a complex piece of code they've written, or even have them whiteboard a solution to a hypothetical problem.
Like a little coding pop quiz?
You want to see how they think on their feet?
See if they can handle the heat, so to speak.
Exactly. Now, we've talked a lot about the technical side of things, but let's not forget about those all-important soft skills.
Ah, yes, those are crucial for any role, really.
And especially for developers, remember, software development, it's rarely a solo endeavor. It's a team sport.
You need someone who can play well with others.
Exactly. So what are some of the key soft skills to look for?
Well, communication's got to be up there.
For sure. Can they explain complex technical stuff in a way that non-technical people can understand? Are they good listeners? Are they clear and concise in their written communication?
It's not just about writing code, it's about communicating effectively with the whole team.
Right. And then there's problem solving. We've talked about the technical side, but it's also about their general approach to challenges. Are they resourceful?
Do they think outside the box?
Exactly. Are they persistent? Do they give up easily? Or do they keep digging until they find a solution?
Those are valuable qualities in any job, really.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's teamwork. Can they collaborate effectively? Are they open to feedback?
Do they contribute to a positive team dynamic? You don't want someone who's just going to bring everyone down.
Exactly. So it's about finding someone who's not just technically skilled, but also a good communicator, a problem solver, and a team player. Those soft skills are what really make a developer stand out.
They're the icing on the cake.
Now, let's talk about red flags. What are some signs that maybe this isn't the right fit after all?
Like during the interview process.
Yeah. One of the biggest red flags for me is a lack of transparency.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if they're being vague about their past projects or hesitant to share their portfolio or dodging specific technical questions.
But they're hiding something.
Exactly. That's always a bit suspicious. And another red flag is how they handle challenging questions.
Do they get defensive?
Yeah. Or do they blame others for past failures? Or do they take ownership and show that they're willing to learn from their mistakes?
So it's about their attitude, how they handle pressure.
Exactly. You want someone who's self-aware, accountable, and open to feedback.
And what about bad-mouthing previous employers or clients? That's always a no-no for me.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge red flag. It shows a lack of professionalism and respect.
Okay, so those are some red flags to watch out for. But what about the flip side? What are some positive signs that this might be a great fit?
Well, look for someone who's genuinely enthusiastic about VB. Someone who lights up when they talk about the projects they've worked on.
That passion is contagious.
It is. They should be able to explain their thought process clearly, demonstrate a strong grasp of the fundamentals, and show a willingness to learn and grow.
So it's about finding someone who loves what they do and is eager to contribute.
Exactly. And remember, hiring is a two-way street. Just as you're evaluating them, they're evaluating you.
That's a good point. We often forget that.
So be transparent about your company culture, the challenges of the role, what it's like to work on your team. The more honest and upfront you are, the more likely you are to attract the right people.
People who are genuinely a good fit.
And speaking of finding the right fit, I have to mention theperfectdeveloper.com again. They really simplify the whole process of finding the right VB developer for your specific needs.
I mean, they're called theperfectdeveloper.com for a reason.
They really take the guesswork out of it.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in this segment. Evaluating skills, the importance of soft skills, red flags, green flags. But the hiring process doesn't end when you make the offer, right? There's still more to do.
Absolutely. The next step is onboarding your new developer and making sure they feel welcome, supported, and ready to hit the ground running.
And that's what we'll be talking about in our final segment. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll cover everything you need to know about onboarding and retaining those valuable VB developers. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We've talked about what VB developers do, how to figure out what you need, how to find them, how to vet them. We even talked about some red flags to watch out for in interviews. But what happens once you've actually made the offer?
Yeah, the journey's not over yet. Getting them in the door is just the first step.
Right. It's like onboarding, right? What's the deal with that?
Well, you can't just hand them a stack of paperwork and say, good luck.
No, definitely not. So what does good onboarding look like?
Think of it as setting the stage for a long and successful working relationship. You want to make sure they have everything they need from day one.
Like software, logins, all that practical stuff.
Exactly. And also a clear understanding of what their role is, how it fits into the bigger picture of the company.
So it's about removing any obstacles, making that transition as smooth as possible.
Right. And that includes making them feel welcome, like they're actually part of the team.
Yeah, those first impressions matter a lot.
They do. Simple things like introductions, a workspace all set up for them, even just a virtual coffee chat with colleagues if they're remote.
It's about that human connection, even in a tech-heavy field.
Absolutely. And, something like a mentor or a buddy system can be really helpful.
Oh, yeah, someone they can go to with questions, especially those unwritten rules of the company culture.
Exactly. It can make a huge difference in how quickly they get up to speed.
Now, we've talked about hiring remote VB developers. That adds a whole other layer to onboarding, doesn't it?
It does, but it's totally manageable with the right approach. Communication is key, even more so when you're not face-to-face.
So lots of video calls, clear expectations, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Regular check-ins, instant messaging for those quick questions, good project management tools. These can all help bridge that distance.
And it's not just about the tasks and deadlines, right? How do you build that team spirit when everyone's not in the same room?
You got to get creative. Virtual team building activities, encouraging social interaction outside of work projects, things like that.
So those remote team members don't feel isolated.
Right. You want them to feel like they're really part of the team, even if they're miles away.
Okay, so onboarding is taken care of.
Yeah.
But then there's the whole keeping them around.
Right.
Retention.
Yeah. The tech world is competitive, especially for good VB developers. You don't want to lose the great ones you've worked so hard to find.
Especially when they got all that company knowledge and experience under their belt.
Exactly. So how do you keep them happy and engaged?
Besides paying them well, of course.
Of course. It really starts with fostering a supportive and engaging work environment. Make sure your developers feel valued, respected, and challenged.
Give them opportunities to learn new things, grow their skills.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to feel stagnant in their career. And recognition is huge. Celebrate those wins, big or small. Offer opportunities for advancement. Show them that their contributions matter.
It's about making them feel like they're part of something bigger.
Right. And let's not forget about work-life balance.
Yeah, especially in a field that's known for long hours and tight deadlines.
Encourage your developers to take breaks, use their vacation time, prioritize their well-being. A burned-out developer isn't productive, and it's not good for anyone.
It's about that sustainable pace, right?
Exactly. You want them to be happy and healthy in the long run.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We talked about what VB developers do, how to find them, how to onboard them, and even how to keep them around.
It's been quite the journey.
It has. But finding the right VB developer can make a huge difference for your business. They can help you streamline processes, build those custom solutions you need, and unlock all sorts of potential within your existing systems.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, remember, theperfectdeveloper.com is there to help. Their 5 questions tool is a great place to start. It helps you figure out exactly what you need in a VB developer.
It takes a lot of the guesswork out of the process. They're experts at connecting businesses with the right tech talent, and that includes those specialized VB developers who can really make a difference.
So whether you're looking to build a custom application, automate a task, or just make your systems run more smoothly, finding the right VB developer can be a game changer. And with a little planning, clear communication, and a focus on building a positive work environment, you can have a successful and long-lasting relationship with your VB developers. And that wraps up our mini deep dive into the world of hiring Visual Basic developers. We hope you found it helpful.
Thanks for listening.